We are Ole Miss Rebels. As Mississippi's flagship university, we dig deeper, see farther, work harder. We pioneered human organ transplants. We helped prove Einstein's theory of gravitational waves. We are conducting life-changing research that solves the problems of today. We are Ole Miss, transforming lives and the world.
Welcome to the POMcast with Stephen Willis. Now we're going to do things a little different. We are going to provide an honest look at Ole Miss athletics for the fan, by the fan, and of the fan. That is what we do. Hell be to me. I'm just kidding. Tune in for some Ole Miss sports news. We're going to give it to you straight. Yeah, right now. The POMcast starts now. It happens now. Holy cow. Listen to me. It's starting. Well, it's going to start right about now. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to the POMcast. I am your host on this magical mystery tour that we call Ole Miss Fandom, Stephen Willis. And I want to thank everybody for joining me today. Lots of stuff to get to today. We're going to talk about Ole Miss's performance yesterday at Media Days. Why, yes, it matters to the overall brand. That's what you use it for. You don't go to Media Days to answer dumb questions from dumb reporters. You go to Media Days because it's on the SEC network and it enhances your recruiting, and it's another opportunity for you to put out your brand. And we're also going to talk about some dark horses potentially that we are looking forward to seeing in the fall. I don't know why, but I'm really high on Mark Robinson, but we'll get to that in the second segment of the show. Thank you for joining. You see that our new logo, our new graphics are kind of permeating all through our show and our social media channels, and we've done things a little bit differently, and we're going to start working our way up that one. So follow us on Twitter at the Stephen Willis or at the Rebel Walk. You can catch us on Facebook at facebook.com/POMcast, POMcast, or the Rebel Walk. Follow, like it, please. We're on YouTube at Positively Ole Miss. Subscribe, hit the bell. You'll not only know that we're streaming, you'll know what we're streaming about. And we are on Twitch at Positively Ole Miss, all one word. You can catch us on the audio version on the podcast. I know we don't promote that much, but you can catch us there on Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Spotify, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, and Pandora. That is Positively Ole Miss. Might be starting to show up and mention, so we're starting to get ratings and things like that, so it's pretty great. To everybody that said that I was your favorite Ole Miss podcast, thank you very much. If you're listening right now, we're going to continue to do a fantastic job and get stuff to you in an orderly manner. But that is where we're sitting as far as the out of the way. I do need to tell you about the Travel and Cruise World before we get started. It is a local to Central Florida based travel agency. So if you are going to Disney, if you're going to the beach, if you're going on a cruise, these guys have the hookup. They'll know the ever changing COVID environment by heart. be able to help you out personally, and we'll be able to let you know if should something happen. Give them a call at 1-800-330-7461. That is 1-800-330-7461. Tell them we sent you over. So we have a lot of fun, a lot of good stuff. We changed over our graphics a little bit. We've changed our social media graphics. We're getting ready for football season, as you can tell. We're getting ready for different ways to promote this to you. Well, we would have done an instant reaction last night after media days, but Evie she got a little bit busy. You know, she had 4 or 5 radio appearances a day. She's got like 3 this morning. She's all over the place. So we were like, hey, we'll just sit back and we'll handle the reaction here, because most everybody saw it. Most everybody saw the performance. They saw the swagger. They saw the basically football culture of Ole Miss on display. And I will say this again. I said it yesterday. It's going to be competition. It is going to be fun. And it is going to be about a pro mindset. Those are the 3 things that they're always going to push out. You hear things like, we are loaded at wide receiver, competition. You hear him poking fun about Bryce Young, fun. Also, for recruiting, we love that. Bring that on. You know, you can earn that here. But also mention that he's never played a snap starting a game. Mentioning his quarterback is the guy. It was actually a very good media days. Jalen Jones was on the defensive most of the day as a defensive player off of that unit last year. I understand some trepidation by that, but I'm curious to see what Jalen's going to look like in the fall. Now that he is recovered, I am curious to what he is going to look like. And it's just a fantastic day for Lane Kiffin, his son, the 2, Matt Corral and Jalen Jones, go in there. And there was a small media contingent there, but the Rebel Walk was in attendance. They got theirs and was able to go to the super secret meeting that happened after the Lane Kiffin meeting, to which nothing really happened because they have avenues of putting their own information out. They don't need to get a message out through the media anymore. So it's kind of losing steam as this goes on. Remember, they might call it SEC Media Days, and you might get there expecting to be important and to ask your question and hear the questions asked, and to get basically is to steal storylines from other reporters. But the SEC Media Days is going to be branded that, but it's going to eventually be branded something like SEC Kickoff and be held on SEC Network and be a completely SEC Network, basically isolated ESPN thing. Right now with CBS, you can't really do that. But we are 2 or 3 years away from the SEC going completely to Disney. And once that happens, I think you will see everything start to get insulated and a little bit less of a circus. Although they might put that on there just to say, hey, we're doing this, but it isn't the purpose of the day. Whenever somebody goes up into the big room like Lane Kiffin or Nick Saban, the purpose there is not to talk to the reporters. The purpose there is to talk to everybody via SEC Network, to the whole conference, and just deliver your message straight to the people. Used to, media days and things like that was important because from a press conferences, all these stories get written, all these content pieces, and other people are in control of what was said. Basically, they get control of the narrative at that point. But you don't really have to worry about that now. Now the message gets distributed directly through SEC Network, and you can hear those speeches on Sirius Radio, and there's a transcript available for each school. And it's a really cool thing of what this is evolving to. But it is making the journalist and the media days portion of the event less and less important. It's more about trying to take care of the requirements of what you need to do. This is when graphics packages start to get built. This is when radio interviews start to happen. It's the media days are like second or third at this point. But as the SEC network gets more and more important, as you saw, they are going wall to wall coverage as it is. All of their experts are on site. It's becoming less and less about what's going on at the podium, in the gaggles, all of that thing. So just remember that. The loss of importance of SEC Media Days is actually a good thing, is because they can just distribute the message directly to you now in a way that they could not do even 15 years ago. So, yeah, it was really good. Ole Miss really set out with a dominant performance. They needed their brand to get sent out, and this coming out of COVID and everything opening up, even though with the Delta variant, that's a whole thing right now. But you have to early adapt and get ahead of this. And part of that is getting your message out. You want everybody that comes on campus to come there with the mindset of competition, fun, and pro mindset. And then whenever they get to Oxford, you can show them that this is happening. And you can show them how everything can be better and how this will get you to where you want to be. We have a fun offense. We're going to have a fun, exciting defense, believe it or not. And you just need the players to buy in. And once the recruits buy in, when I say players, the recruits to buy in, get a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better. And then all of a sudden, next thing you know, you turn around and really nobody can play with you. That's the goal. That's the shining city on the hill, is to be at a point through recruiting to where you just have an advantage athletically. You're Alabama. That's the goal. And you do that through the social media reach. You do that through a great culture of the program, which this isn't Nick Saban. This is Pete Carroll, that part of the program, the competition, pro mindset, and fun. That's absolutely Pete Carroll at USC. That's Lane Kiffin going back 20 years to pull this out of the Pete Carroll system because it works. You mix that with Alabama's recruiting setup, and all of a sudden you can start cooking with gas. It's a mix and match of taking the best things from multiple programs to get where you need to get. And media days are a part of that. It is a recruiting part of that. There are eyeballs on the screen going to hit social media for a soundbite. The Bryce Young soundbite by Lane Kiffin yesterday will be played on social media over and over and over again, and all of your guys are going to see it. Every recruit is going to see that that's interested in Ole Miss. That is a win for Ole Miss because everything is about branding now. Everything is performative. There's no such thing as a practical thing anymore. It's all performative because you have to be performative, because if you try to be real, it's going to go horribly wrong. Now, I say that to where once the players get on campus, it better match what you're putting out. Because in this age of one-time transfer and name, image, and likeness, there's a lot of stuff that comes into focus for a recruit onto where he wants to go. And the number one way to turn off a recruit is really hypocrisy. If you say all of these things, but your program does not look like any of those things, you're not going to get that kid. Never. They do not want to be lied to. They do not like to be lied to. And now with the one-time transfer rule, if you lie to them, you're going to lose them. So you have to be honest about that. So if you're going to talk about fun, competition, pro mindset, better look like fun and competition and pro mindset whenever they get there. Better walk the walk. Because if you don't, they're going to see through it and go on somewhere else. But for yesterday, as part of that branding for Ole Miss, they absolutely set that up. It's set up on three things. Now, before everybody worries about walking the walk, you watched yesterday, fun was all over the screen. They've got that to show to kids. The competition, all of their weight program is some sort of a competition. There's tug of war. There's things like that where players are going after each other at all time. It's to put that we're on the same team, but this is a friendly rivalry, and I'm after your job. And that's, and the pro mindset of getting them to the next league. A lot of their stuff that they're doing is going to help them and build them to get to where they want to be. It's all about the NFL for them. It's all about competition for this team. And it's all about mainly fun because you're playing a game. And all of these things need to be remembered because sometimes people forget that we are playing a game. So it's okay to have fun. And now that all this is going on, it's okay to make yourself into something else. If you're not able to, let's say 1985 football, that's the benchmark. 1985 football, Alabama's running the wishbone or whatever. Auburn's running the wishbone. Back in that time frame, Ole Miss had trouble competing in that time frame. Whenever there was one, maybe two systems of football, and it really was hard to recruit against other schools because they could get more players, everything could fit what they're doing. If you started changing systems back and forth, you got into a big hole, you couldn't get out of it. Well, then as it spread and moved on, all of a sudden there's 50 systems, 100 systems in college football that you can recruit to. That maybe somebody like Alabama, maybe somebody like Clemson, they're not necessarily recruiting those guys. Now, those are going to be the 5 stars because those 5 stars are based off of that system. But you can take some of those 5 stars, put them in the military academy, and they would struggle. And that's because they just run completely different things. The point is, systems need different things. Individual rankings is going to be difficult to see. Everybody likes a 4-star, everybody likes a 5-star, but everybody needs to take that with a grain of salt. We are going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to talk about the dark horses that we are looking for this season. We're going to get into the Austin Peay game and the television situation. We want to make sure everybody is up on that and what might happen there. But we'll come right back. Stick around. All right, welcome back to the POMcast. I am your host, Stephen Willis, and before we move on, I do want to tell you about the Rebel Walk. The Rebel Walk is a free alternative to Ole Miss sports. They provide experts all over the place. They provide a subscriber-level experience for no money. All that it costs you is your time, and boy, oh boy, is it worth it. They have experts for all the major sports. They do their video stuff here. We're going to do several things like I think Rebel Walk, QB Talk with David Walker, who played at A&M back in the day. We're going to do a game preview with Evie Van Pelt. We're going to do an instant reaction after the game. We're going to do a lot video-wise for that. But if you have any interest in what's going on, if you want to see what's happening, you can see their print product at therebelwalk.com. Again, that is therebelwalk.com, and you should be sure to tell them that I sent you. Also, all right, so the Ole Miss just signed a major television contract with Disney. That's the way it is. I mean, it's a huge, huge signing. The CBS slot is going away. ABC is taking that in. All that's going on. The SEC is going back to ABC. That's the start of the original broadcast partner of the SEC championship game. Everybody assumes CBS, but that's really because over the last 20 years or so, they became a dominant force in SEC football. Well, part of that television contract that moved SEC football from CBS to ABC was an stipulation in there that one game per year for each school ends up on ESPN Plus. And you hear that correctly. I've been trying to look this over to see if it's going to appear on SEC Network Plus, which is a free alternative, but they might year one, but I think that's going to go away. They want to push subscribers to ESPN Plus. It's becoming a dominant network of its own right. And this will help schools to bring that in. I mean, the state of Alabama itself, Alabama and Auburn moving to ESPN Plus because of a game against Western Carolina or the Citadel, that's a ton of money. So it's essentially the way I think it's going to go. I have not seen a final version. There's a lot of assumptions happening right now. But this is essentially going to be the return of pay-per-view to SEC football schools for one game a year. Now, granted, that pay-per-view instead of when David Cutcliffe and you were playing pay-per-view whenever we were going to South Carolina and it was $35, $40 a game, the game's going to be like $6 now. But it's going to be in a position where I think you're going to have to pay for that. Now, if you're already an ESPN Plus subscriber, it's not going to affect you at all. But if you are not, it is going to affect you. And that is something to keep an eye on throughout this whole thing. Will the Austin Peay game be available on SEC Network Plus? If it's not, it's going to be ESPN Plus and essentially another service that you have to subscribe to. Now, basically what this is, when ABC got it, they have the rights to all the games, from ABC all the way down to the SEC Network Plus games. Now, if they want to move those Plus to ESPN Plus, that's their prerogative. They're paying $300-something million, some ludicrous amount. After this deal, I think each school is going to jump up in TV revenue to $60 or $70 million, which might, haven't seen it, might for the first time push the revenue for TV past the gate. So it's something to keep an eye on. But that is the early season TV question. That's the Austin Peay game. That is I think September 11th maybe. And 7 o'clock game or whatever. But anticipate that game could end up at ESPN Plus. There's not a lot of coverage, and once camp gets here, there's not a lot of answers at this point. There's going to be people that have not planned and not looked at that possibility that are going to suffer when that game comes around. So that's something, just keep an eye on it. You might want to check the first week game whenever they're doing that for the SEC Network Plus game that's on there, and see if that game is on ESPN Plus. Just look at the app and figure out who's broadcasting. If it's on SEC Network Plus, you're going to be fine. But if they move it to ESPN Plus, you're going to have to pay. So just keep that in mind. Also, we do want to go over a little bit about dark horses, like somebody like Austin Keys or Mark Robinson, those guys. That's what I'm looking for. In this defense, I'm trying to picture players that I'm really looking forward to watching play. Tariqus Tisdale would absolutely be a starter, but I'm interested to see how he performs. This is his money year. This is where he needs to make a play to provide a little bit of work at that outside 3-4 position or that outside 4-3, because he plays a little bit like Marcus Tillman, and he can also play as like a 5 technique outside defensive end in a 3-4. I want to see him. I want to see Austin Keys with our linebacker dearth, because we have Chance Campbell coming in, but he's a 1-year mercenary. We have Momo Sanogo, he's a senior. We have Lakeith Henry, he's a senior. So it's going to change over after this year. I expect somebody absolutely next season in the transfer portal, but I want to see somebody like an Austin Keys make a play. I want to see Mark Robinson step up at the linebacker position. I want to see that position group grow. Now, there's several things to keep an eye on from Louisville to Austin Peay to Tulane. The first 3 games, there's a good number of get well games. But remember, Tulane is not the Tulane you remember. This is actually a good program now. They're probably on a higher footing than the University of Memphis at this point. I'm also trying to get them to somebody from Tulane to do a preview on the show. It's kind of hard to get in touch with them, but so we're going to this afternoon. We have the guys from LSU going to do their preview as it goes. But after that, it's going to be like Austin Peay, Texas A&M, Vanderbilt, and Tulane. That's what's left over really. But those are 2 of the dark horses that I'm really looking forward to see. I'm going to put AJ Finley maybe in this category as well, because he made some plays last year, but I want to see if it carries over. Is he going to take a step now that we had a spring and we're going to have a fall camp and all of this is going to happen? Are we going to have a spring? Are we going to take a step? That's where I'm looking for on the defensive side of the ball. Now, Keydron Smith, Jalen Jones. I'm interested in Jalen Jones just because he's the Chucky Mullins Award winner. It keeps getting hurt. He's like in the 700th year of eligibility at this point, but I want to see him go out well. I want to see him go out and perform at a level that he can really get a shot in the league, if not in the league, down a little bit lower in the USFL or maybe in the XFL. There's pathways now, which is something that 5 years ago didn't exist. There's absolutely pathways now. I'm excited about the USFL, by the way. I'm extremely excited. You might have noticed yesterday I was wearing my Tampa Bay Bandits shirt. I'm hoping that they get selected as a team and you can go over to Raymond James and you can just enjoy the games. It's going to be a little bit of spring football in the air. So I'm really looking forward to that. But I'm going to give you a couple minutes back. The review of the show is Ole Miss absolutely dominated media days yesterday and did exactly what they wanted to do, and not a bit of that was answering a single question from the media. And also, Mark Robinson, Tarikas Tisdale, AJ Finley, players that I'm looking forward to watching in the fall because they're a little bit dark horses and they're not getting as much pub right now. And also, I'm looking forward to finding out whether or not ESPN Plus is the right holder or SEC Network Plus. And if it's on ESPN Plus, will it be on SEC Network Plus? I don't know exactly how that will go. Although maybe I think it's eventually going to go to ESPN Plus, but now with contracts, who knows? So, it's a really good show today. So thank you very much for that. I will catch you Friday. No show tomorrow. Tomorrow I'm getting my MRIs. I've got all 3 of them lined up starting at 10:30. So I should have fun with that. To where everybody's going to scan my brain and make sure I'm okay. So no show tomorrow. I think I might rerun SEC After the Dark in that position, but we'll see. There might be nothing. There might be an SEC After Dark in that position. But until Friday, that'll be the next time I see you on the POMcast. I'm Stephen Willis, and I hope everybody has a good day. And, of course, hotty toddy.